So, anyways, we're driving up to the Edmonton Expo,
Right.
and I said, I haven't had a fucking coffee. I got to get a coffee. And I said, we're driving up. Says, you want anything? He goes, yeah, just a plain bagel with cream cheese. No, never mind. Change that to an everything bagel with cream cheese. Okay, so I drive up to the thing. Yeah, can I get a medium coffee with 2 cream, 1 sweetener, and an everything Beagle with
Just set the tone for the whole day. It was lovely.
yeah.
Lovely.
So it was. Oh no! I started laughing. I said, "No, that's a bagel, not a beagle, or
Yeah.
whatever."
Beagle.
So
Yeah, sir, this is not Korea.
Here's your beagle. A little
or
chubby.
or with a Springfield down in the States,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, that set the tone for the rest of the day. It was I don't know what. Maybe I was hungry for Beagle. I don't know.
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
You big dummy. Oh, great Odin's raven.
Say hello to my little friend.
I stepped in a ditch last night, man. I almost closed my balls off, man.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. What's the problem?
Yeah, Daisy.
Oh, we know what you fear well without.
I'm the doctor. What's up, guys?
This aggression will not stand, man.
Engage. Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pulp Culture. Well, let's get this boat on the road, eh? Hey everyone, welcome to the Pulp Culture Cafe. Oh, this is season 12, 315. I am here with Paul and Scott, and so not much. So we just changed a little things. We used to try and talk about stuff that we all watched together, but now we're just going to change it to stuff that we just watched. And then we'll get into other stuff later after that, whatever falls, news towards the end. So if you're listening, thank you. And if you're not listening, well, okay, you're not listening. So I'm going to start. Oh, we also have one thing that we all watched. We're going to pick one movie, TV show, or something so that we all watch, at least have one thing in common to talk about.
Oh, I'd almost forgotten about that.
Yeah.
That's right. We did watch it. Cool.
So I'll just start with I'll start with probably the most common one we all watch. I think the Thunderbolts trailer, the one that came out.
Yes.
I watched. One thing about trailers they always seem to be good. There's never a bad trailer. I mean, I don't remember seeing a bad trailer, but the introduction and everything. I until I took to the internet, I didn't know who the guy was that was just in the prison suit. I think it's supposed to be Sentry. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I like the upgraded design for what's the character's name? That's the killing Taskmaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I it's a little bit more smooth, streamlined than the clunky looking one that was in the
Black Widow. Yeah.
Black Widow movie, and so overall, I really enjoyed it. You guys?
I enjoyed it too. I think this actually looks. I was getting kind of Civil War vibes. Not Civil War, Winter Soldier vibes from it, to be quite honest. Now,
By design, I'm guessing.
Oh, I would imagine so. Yeah, they'd be daft not to, because Winter Soldier is probably top 5 MCU. To be honest,
Yep.
It's big shoes to fill, and I'll be surprised if it actually turns out to be that good.
Mm-hmm.
But if it gets anywhere near that good, it's still going to be one of the best MCU films in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just from what I've seen so far, I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'd completely forgotten about Red Hulk. Like, that was the big news because footage of Red Hulk and all this, that, and the other. And the trailer we kind of focused on all the other characters, and I'm actually more excited about that. I don't really give that much of a shit about Red Hulk. I am looking forward to seeing all the others. That little fight scene that they put in there, where they're all sort of like, where the knives sort of like getting chucked at each other, and it's clever stuff.
Yeah.
It's clever stuff. I enjoyed that. I hope that the rest of the movie is done to the same standard.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it should be pretty good.
Yeah. Scott?
It wasn't bad. I mean, I think I think they're kind of changing their tune a bit from their previous outings, which is good. The cast of characters, they did amplify the Winter Soldier, which is good. They even took a little part from there was a bit of an homage to Winter Soldier with the bomb and the So
I know okay.
Yeah, so it's a shame they couldn't have taken like did you guys read the Thunderbolts comic at all?
No.
I read one of them at one point, a more recent version where it was kind of Punisher and Elektra. Who else was in it? But not classic Thunderbolts. Like a more recent.
Yeah, the original one was. I remember at the time when it happened, it was a massive. It was one of the few massive surprises that Marvel has had, where it was the Masters of Evil. But during the entire first, spoiler alert for 22 years later if you haven't read it, but it was the Masters of Evil, and it would have been kind of a nice little homage, and maybe they will if they could get one or two members, because there's, it's Thunderbolts as far as the comics to movies, it's a name only, but it's just it's Outlaws, so but I'm looking forward to it just because it's characters. I think maybe they've learned a bit, and that in itself makes me think it's going to be a little better than the last couple of outings that Marvel has had. So I'm going to go see it. I'm going to check it out in the theaters. Mm-hmm. I love most of the actors that I've seen that are involved with it. So, yeah, I'm going in with an open mind.
Yeah. I think I can't remember what Marvel movie I passed on the theater. Maybe I can't remember. Anyways, maybe it's because I did go see it and it wasn't memorable.
Ant-Man and Thor. Ant-Man and Thor were the worst double whammy of Marvel films, and it swore me off them for the longest time.
That there might be the whichever one came out the latest out of those. I can't remember. And there has been one or two that have just bypassed me completely, and I just thought, I'm out. I'm tapped out at this point. I couldn't even tell you which the last. Aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, I couldn't tell you which the last Marvel movie I actually saw at the cinema was.
Yeah. Okay. Scott, what have you been watching?
Well, I just got done watching. Did you? Well, the True Detective. I was just about to say, did either of you watch it?
Yeah.
But True Detective Night Country, which was the 4th season of the True Detective series, and I had just heard that Jodie Foster had won Best Leading Actress in a Limited Series. So I said to Susan, you know what, let's give it a try. And it was really fucking good. Mm-hmm. With a caveat. There was one thing that hurt it, but other than that, it was very well done. And I found that with a lot of good actors. Found it with Bryan Cranston. Found it with his cohort from Better Call Saul. When they're executive producers, they tend to cast very, very well. And that's the truth with this. It was cast very well, very, very well. There wasn't one bad speaking part. It took place in Alaska during, 30 days of night, if you've heard that term before, where it's like permanent darkness there, and that's why they call it night country. But it had a lot of the same vibe that you saw in the first season with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. And they were actually both executive producers on this, which made me think, because there was a shout out to the first series. And I asked this, did you see either of you see the first series?
I've seen all 4.
Okay.
But to be honest, I had to Google the reference. Because I knew that there was a reference. I missed it. I Googled it and then thought, Right. Okay. Fair enough. I get it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they do kind of another series together, or even a movie. I mean, if I had Matthew McConaughey, her, and Woody Harrelson in a movie concerning that subject and a continuation, I would pay to see that in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And they should consider that route. But I thought it was very well done. The actress, and I just pulled up her name here, her partner, she was a former boxer. She's been acting for 3 years. She's a very good actress for 3 years in.
Yeah, I didn't know she was a former boxer, but
she is. But very good actress.
Yeah, I didn't know where she'd come from, but she was a bit of a find because, like you say, everyone was good.
Yes,
and that's usually true. I mean, season 2 was a bit of the outlier. I don't know what happened with season 2.
It was bad. That's what happened.
Yeah. Did you see season 3?
I did see season 3 with the Mahershala Ali.
Yes, that
very good.
Again, the casting is just aside from season 2, the casting, dialogue, everything about these shows is just the first word that springs to mind is magnificent. Just the cinematography, the locations, the way that it's filmed, the actors. I mean, it's a long time since I've seen Jodie Foster in anything.
Yeah.
But when you watch her on screen, you think, my God, that's what acting looks like.
Yeah.
That's what we've been missing. Yeah. Somebody who can actually just blow the roof off a TV set. It's like, Jesus Christ. Whoa. I really enjoy that. With you, it started off and I thought, this... I was in straight away. I thought, wow, this can't be right, and I'm looking forward to getting to the bottom of this mystery. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, I think there's probably one or two elements where you think, all right, I'll give you that. But overall, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, really it's worth watching. And the thing I was talking about was, there's stuff you watch from the 50s and 60s and 70s. You kind of shake your head. You're like, okay. Women are more complex than this, and they're not shrews and harpies and bimbos.
Yeah.
And now there's a point where if you are a middle-aged, it's men in general in this, but middle-aged white dude, you're either gonna die or you're a piece of shit, or it's just there's a generalization, and it's like the gentleman who had the Huskies, her boyfriend.
Yeah.
I've met. I mean, we're in the north, and I've met some Inuit and Native men, and with Huskies, and he's a man's man. But we the candles in the bathtub, and she's on top of him, and she's like, "Don't you fucking dare!" I'm like, he would have said, "You know what, baby, I'm coming. You better duck."
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. But he was like very, very beta-like, and I was like, okay, I've known guys like this. It's not like that, but you know what? That's where they're at. That's where we're at. But I think in time, stuff like certain aspects of shows that do that, it's not going to age well. It's going to take people out. You're going to be like, no, that doesn't make sense at all. Mm-hmm. And they did that a few times through. But other than that, the acting was very well done. So it's worth seeing for that. It was much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
You're right. Cinematography. Actually, when you mentioned the cinematography, that surprised me because I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Those night shoots, and in the ice caves and so forth, very well done. Very well done. It really gave a sense of you're out there in the dark by yourself, freezing. And John, if you saw it, you would think the same thing. We can relate to that because when it's minus 30, freezing your balls off, and snowing, you feel like death's hunting you down. It was very. Anyone who's lived in a northern climate like that can absolutely get where that whole story was coming from.
Yeah, that's quite interesting to hear it from that perspective because I've never had to put up with temperatures that low. It's like I think at worst it's been about minus 10 over here, which isn't really scratching the surface as far as you're concerned.
Nah.
Yeah.
But I can't associate with that, so I didn't feel it when I was looking at the screen. But my God, it was beautiful. Oh wow, this looks so good.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, when the nude scene in the snow when those poor bastards are running through, I'm sitting there saying to myself, "Oh my God, I felt it on my arms. I haven't felt it as deep as they did, but I felt it on my arms and so forth. And it's just, you're like, oh, I can feel it, bud. I can feel it.
Yeah. Oh, if they'd been on location doing that, can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't even really think about this because we're just going to make circles because I have a list of different stuff, and then if we need to move on to something else you want to talk about, Paul, because you're on a little bit of a time, let us know. But it's your turn. What did you watch? That
I've got a short list. I've been wanting to say something about Lord of the Rings. So if it's my turn, then let's just get straight into that. Yeah. So, where are we up to? I think episode 7 dropped this week, if I remember correctly. So we're flying through these episodes. There's probably only going to be about 8. Much like the first one, you can see where the money is. It looks pretty good. You know, there's a lot of it looks like it's just Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy up on the screen. There's pretty good special effects, costumes, makeup, that sort of thing. Clearly been a lot of money spent on this. Still kind of suffers from the same issues of the first season. They're just trying to fill so many hours with just a small amount of content because there's not a right lot happening. Now, to be fair, and I was thinking about this while I was watching it, Fellowship of the Ring, 3.5 hour movie. Most of it is just aerial shots of 7 people just walking across the top of a hill. It's like, but for some reason, it's a classic. Everyone loves it, and rightly so. It is fucking awesome. But when you go for long periods of time in Rings of Power and nothing happens, you feel it. It's like, I don't know where the disparity is. I don't know why it's not as interesting to just sit and just be amazed with what's going on in front of you. It's not good enough. You know, we've gone beyond that. I think Peter Jackson's trilogy was kind of like, Jesus Christ, they did it. This looks and sounds amazing. And you kind of just sort of, it just washes over you. It's like, wow, that is so good. And now we're just getting by on nostalgia. Whereas now, however many years later, I mean, 20 years later, thereabouts, we're just kind of watching the same thing. And it's not really sort of grabbing me. It's not really grabbing anybody. If you look at the internet, it's actually not bad. It's not bad. It's just not really grabbing people because it's doing exactly the same thing that Peter Jackson did 20 years ago. And they just need to sort of just get a move on. You know, like the last couple of episodes, there's been sort of like quite a large scale battle, which is fine, but they haven't even managed to make that exciting. You know, there's kind of jeopardy, but we kind of don't give a shit either. You know, you're kind of just watching this battle going on, and it's like, oh, they nearly breached the wall, and you're just watching it like, okay, so, who gives a shit? Because there's only one person inside that city that I know, and you know, we know that this is a prequel to Lord of the Rings, so you know, there's not many surprises to be had. It's a really, really weird premise for a show. So bottom line, doesn't have the same magic as the original trilogy, although they're still trying to replicate exactly the same thing Peter Jackson did. They're just not as successful, and it's just it's not bad. In fact, we talked about this a couple of shows ago, John. It's not shit enough to stop watching. That's my review of Rings of Power. Yeah. It's not quite shit enough to make me stop watching it. It's okay.
Okay.
Rings of Power, it's okay. But the one thing that I wanted to mention was, and I don't know how they thought that we weren't going to notice, but I can't remember which episode it was in. But my God, they just ripped something straight out of Empire Strikes Back, and I thought, you cheeky fuckers. So basically, the mystery guy, who's clearly going to be Gandalf, is talking with Tom Bombadil, and Gandalf has a vision, and it's his two little hobbit friends are in danger. And he's sort of like, this vision finishes, and he goes to Tom Bombadil, or Yoda in this particular case, and says, I've just had a vision, I've just seen my friends, they're in danger. Is this something that's going to happen or something that might happen? And then Tom Bombadil, or Yoda in this case, says, well, if you don't finish your training, then you're putting everyone else at risk. Or you could just sack it all off and you can go and rescue your friends, but that will lead to evil overtaking all of Middle Earth. I'm thinking, you've taken the script for Empire Strikes Back, that particular scene where Luke Skywalker has that vision about Cloud City. You've literally changed 4 words. You've only changed 4 words out of that script, and you've basically just done exactly the same thing. Did you think we wouldn't notice?
Wow.
Did you think we would notice? There's only nerds watching this. Did you think that we wouldn't notice that you repurposed the fucking script? It just made me chuckle so hard. I thought, I've got to tell the guys about that, because I wasn't sure whether you'd be watching it or not, but I thought, fucking wankers.
Young nerds.
Not shooting off to stop watching, but that's probably because they're ripping off the Empire Strikes Back.
Well, maybe there's a bunch of young nerds, they've never seen Empire, right?
Possibly, possibly. So. Yeah, they might have got away with that, but not me. No, not. Go on, sorry.
A few folks have been talking about the same thing you're talking about, is how they have these long journeys, and it seems longer than it should be. But I have a theory on that. When they first did Lord of the Rings, the dialogue was the magic. It was Tolkien's words. And when you saw really great scenes of dialogue and interaction with characters they had done so well, those journeys were anticipation. And you enjoyed those when you were watching those views across the thing, because you knew within a minute or two you were going to get back into the magic, and it was anticipatory, where now it's like, this dialogue was and now I'm going on a journey to get to more dialogue that's so that's the truth. That's the truth, and that's what I've heard a lot of people say, and it does make sense, because in the original trilogy, the dialogue was the CGI. It was the stuff that made you go ooh ah, and in this, it's just. I've seen some of the footage. I stopped watching after episode 4, but that's where I think the disconnect is there's no anticipation in these journeys, and that's what's hurting it.
Yeah. Oh, the only other thing that annoys me so much, I forgot to mention, the woman who plays Galadriel. She
kissed her son.
Kissed her son.
Who kissed her nephew or son or whatever? It was she shared a kiss with Elrond.
Yeah.
And they were making things. Wait a minute, they're related somehow.
It's Empire Strikes Back. Princess Leia kisses the fucking brother.
Yeah.
It's the same difference.
When you mentioned that, I was like, I've heard of a few other similarities to Empire Strikes Back.
I'm telling you, they changed 4 words out of that whole script. 4 words. Like, someone is going to end up being someone else's father at some point. You just wait and see. That is definitely going to happen. No, what I was going to say, the Galadriel, she rolls every single R, no matter where it is in the word or what it is that she's saying. She rolls every single R. It's really annoying. I'm sure you're not supposed to be rolling every single R like that. That's just no one else does. Why are you doing it? It must be like a director thing, So like, oh no, roll your R's more. Like, why? It's so distracting. It just sounds like.
Okay.
But it's laughable. Not shit enough to stop watching it yet. Not shit enough.
So I've told you guys before, I started watching some of the Dust channel on YouTube, watching their shorts and stuff. So I've got a few shorts. I'm not going to go into big detail on because they're just shorts, right? But I watched one called Bug Out. It was another one of those end of the world scenarios where it's showing a father and his son. It's not like a nuclear war sort of thing. There is a virus that's dropped down that's killing people. So the father and son just want to get out of the city. It's just a child, I should say. And what happens is it's a series of shorts, but I only watched the first one. They get out of the city. They're somehow in a desert area. He collapses. His son took off his mask and gets infected with the disease. And then it leads to where they fall. There's a guy dressed in a gray robe, like we brought up Star Wars, but dressed up like Obi-Wan. Runs over to see what's happened. These four different characters suddenly start shooting at him. He runs away. The only thing I got out of the thing is that the virus was only like a 24-hour or 48-hour disease. So it did its damage, but within that time frame, the whole world went to shit. So, wow. Yeah, I don't know how it doesn't make sense, but it must kill a lot of people really quick then. And the son died, so they grab the guy, take him back to their fort, and before they get there, it ends, and I just go, I don't know, this doesn't really. It's another end of the world one, but it's not very good. Put it bluntly, wasn't interested. The other one was another weird it's called Outer Reaches, where an astronaut and his companion have to eject from a spaceship and they land on this planet. You didn't even know there was two guys in it because the capsule's so small. It's like a Doctor Who capsule. It's tiny, but you open it up, there's room for two guys. It's huge. I just think it was a flaw in the story because the guy gets out, he wants to set up a thing so he can get rescued. He goes back and there's this character there I didn't even know was there. He's infected with some sort of disease. He's fucking got things coming out of him, and don't worry about that one either. It wasn't very good.
There's a reason they're shorts, I guess.
Yeah.
The reason why they're hidden away on YouTube.
Yeah, on dusk, right? I mean, hey, you got to give them credit for at least doing it, right? Okay.
Yeah, concept.
Well,
yeah.
I haven't made any movies.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't mean that we have to like it because you did it. So, another short one called Biopunk, which takes place in another world scenario. The only thing that was interesting to me is that the guy who played Nodor in Game of Thrones was in it.
Oh, yes, I know you.
Okay. And then the amount of time and effort to create just this area for this short film, I give them credit for. They spent a lot of time making this look like a post-apocalyptic world. And I don't know how much they spent, but it was a short film where at the end of it, this group takes this woman's either son or brother and skips off, and that's how it ended. So it wasn't really a cliffhanger, not enough for, I don't know if it was a short concept film for something to be done, but it was interesting enough for me to keep watching and enjoy it a little bit, but still not something that I would point you to go watch. And then the other one was another alien fallen to the earth, but this time it took during the Vikings time. The Vikings are in a battle, they get away. The ship crashed, this alien gets out and starts shooting them all, and they have a figure with this demon and how they're going to kill it. And the ends with him, the one Viking actually is getting to the point where he killed the guy, ripped off his helmet. It's like 3 eyes and looks like a praying mantis, and it ends with a whole bunch of the other ships getting ready to crash and land. So I enjoyed that one simply because it took the what I said was Predator or Prey that was out, and that same sort of concept where this intelligent and the people have to use. Except this guy wasn't hunting for trophies. He was just there to invade. They're coming down to invade. But they have to figure out how to kill this thing. And then with the Vikings, it's always about Valhalla. We're going to kill this thing or we're going to die or we're going to Valhalla. Where a couple going, this isn't right. This is fucked up. So,
fuck this.
Yeah, but so that's just the 4 I watched. I got to go pick up some more, maybe do a little bit more research and developing on it. And then I'll just do a quick thing. The Aussie Office. Did any of you guys watch the trailer for the Aussie Office?
I didn't know. I saw it on the listing.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's an Australian version.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah. I want to see him do a Canadian Office. So, I'll check it out, but it was just, I don't know. You can only do that concept so many times, right?
Somebody compared it to...
Yeah.
Somebody compared it to Ghostbusters 2016, which I was thinking that was fucking cruel.
Yeah.
Like they were not a fan of it. They were not a fan of it.
Yeah. So, but that's all. I have another one, but it's more political than that, so I'll just leave it. It was that one with Russia with Lev. From Russia with Love about Donald Trump and this guy that was doing it. So I'll leave that one for everything. So Scott, quick down on the other stuff you might have.
I've got 2 things you guys have already kind of talked about on the last show, so I'll quickly move through them. Sue and I watched the entire, from the last 15 years, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So we watched the first 3 that Fox had did. And then we watched the Disney one. And the first 3 hold up really well. Sue had actually never seen the second and third one, so she really enjoyed them. Those are the ones with
Caesar.
Woody Harrelson, Caesar in it.
Yeah.
And when you watch the Disney one, the 4th one, you realize how much Andy Serkis as Caesar is missed. Mm-hmm. You realize he was a very iconic character in that entire trilogy, and he was missed in the 4th one. The new I can't even remember what's that monkey's name? I can't remember his name.
Okay,
Noah.
Yeah. Noah.
Yeah, Noah. And he sounded like a slacker college student. It was just a totally different voice, and it didn't bring that sense of presence that Andy Serkis had brought to it the first time, and it took some away from the story. The female lead went from in the Disney one, she went from not being able to get herself to cover to pulling off this massive conspiracy to fool everyone else. And you finally saw your first gun. That's another thing I noticed. The difference between the second and third films to the 4th one is we're not using guns at all. It was like they had just completely moved away from that. One of the most interesting characters in the 4th one, they killed him halfway through it. And I thought it was a really interesting character. The CGI, I had forgotten how good the CGI was in the second and third ones. When they had the rainforest, where you see the wet on the fur of the apes, and it looked really well. It looked natural. And then again, the snow in the 3rd one. But they had none of that, and the CGI actually looked worse in the 4th one. And that again surprised me. I was thinking, when you look at it, I think it was 2011 that the first one came out. The CGI actually held up better than it did in 2022 or 2023 when the last one came out. It was very odd. Even Susan noticed that, and I love when she comments on stuff like that, because I'm thinking this isn't the geek. This is just the person they're really making this for that's going to put this movie to give it a sequel. As I said, the first 3, engaging storylines, tension. The one from Disney, the ending was almost like a video game where they're I don't know if you've seen it. They're going up a thing and water's coming up, and it's almost like an elimination process going up to the top, and that's kind of the end of it. It was a bit predictable. The ending, there was an actress, and she was on Arrow, and I don't know her name. She's an Asian lady, and she's on Arrow, and if you saw, she was in The Bunker. And I saw her face and I said, God damn it, because she is a terrible actress. I've seen her in Jurassic World. She was the lady who played the in The Market. She was the facilitator. Do you remember the actress I'm speaking about at all?
I think so. I'm not sure.
She's either Vietnamese.
Was she in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well?
Yes, she was.
Yes, that's where, that's what I remember her from originally.
I have seen her in so much that her acting skills are so fucking terrible, and I don't know how she gets blockbuster after blockbuster movies, but she was in the part where they were showing The Bunker at the end, and I said to myself, I looked over at Susan, I said, that stopped me from going to see the movie, because I know what this next movie is going to be, and they are going to do a sequel. I remember when it first came out, the first 2 weekends, people were happy it was Planet of the Apes, and it got a bulk of its money in the first 2 or 3 weekends. But I don't know. I don't know whether I'd actually see the next movie in the theaters or not. There is definitely a drop down in quality from when it was under 20th Century Fox to Disney. I found anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I got one. I love those movies. I just love them. I can watch them over and over again. For me, I know who you're talking about. I've seen her some other stuff. I'm not as critical as you are, Scott, about her acting. The young woman, who was trying to get away and stuff. Supposed to be an intelligent young woman, but she's running through the field with the rest of them. Again, the ending for me also just said, hope the apes win. So I'm always going to cheer for the apes, no matter what. And then I wasn't as critical as to the storyline. They have to change something different. The one ape that passed away halfway through, apparently, if you watch the movie to the end, they say you listen closely, you hear his voice again, setting it up so they might not have actually passed away. But was it as strong as the first three, or was the lead character as strong as Andy Serkis? Because Andy Serkis has that commanding presence to it, even as in CGI, and that voice and stuff like that. I mean, it's number 4 of 3, and you keep milking a story as long the story's. There's got to be a big major change, a totally different direction. Yeah, with the story for it to evolve and change, but they're just basically it's the same thing. Now the humans are coming after the apes, and the apes just want to be left alone. Premise of the story is the same, nothing different. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. So,
yeah, I was kind of the same. If something's entertaining, then it's good enough.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page. The guy that died halfway through, I felt sure he was going to come back later into the movie.
Yeah.
He never did, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's the best character in the movie. What the fuck? I don't remember hearing his voice, but I think that might be sort of at some point after they'd wrapped the movie, maybe the test audiences all kicked off and said, why the fuck have you killed the best character in the movie? So they might have, and I think it was Paul Giamatti did the voice. So they must have got him back in to just like record a line or something without spending any more money on CGI to show him. they've just got him to record another line, so he may come back in the next movie.
Like I didn't hear it either. I just heard stuff on the internet. They said so.
No, that may or may not be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see where it's going. I mean, the theme of the movie still fits the first three. Humans are pieces of shit. You can't trust them. You can see where it's going. The next one's going to be Empire Strikes Back, where at the end of it, the apes are going to look like all is lost. Someone's going to have a vision about someone being in trouble, but they're going to have to decide whether to stay and get trained, or whether they're going to have to go and save their friends at some point. Someone's going to be someone's father, and then we'll go into the third one. And the monkeys will get some little teddy bears to come and help them beat the humans. Well, that's my prediction anyway.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Frozen ice and mud.
That'd be funny. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
But
I'd see that in the cinema. Actually, that'd be cool.
There was one other point I forgot to mention. William H. Macy was wasted in this movie. The fourth one. I was like, this is a fantastic actor, and he couldn't have been any more one-dimensional if they had tried. That was another thing.
That was really weird, because I thought, I was sure that was William H. Macy, but why is William H. Macy in that role?
Yeah, it was.
Why is
bizarre.
that not just some Sunday afternoon bit part player? Where you from?
Made no sense.
I don't know. No, I do not know. No idea. What an interesting casting decision.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to come back and have a huge part in a later stage.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it was investment.
Okay. So we'll do a couple quick ones, Paul, Scott, and then we'll go to Paul, and then we'll move on.
Sure.
Okay. So what? You got something else, Scott?
Oh yeah. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last one. Yeah, we both enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I liked reading the history about it. I thought it was an interesting story, like from real life. The execution was not bad. Cavell and his crew felt a bit like the A-Team, where they were just going through Naziville, just shooting anything that moved, and nothing really stopped them. And I cared more about Heron and Marjorie's story. Now, Heron is Babs. I'm going to butcher his name, but you know what I'm talking about. It was more of the spy drama, and I found that...
It's the guy from Star Trek, whose name I forget.
Yeah.
Yes. I found that suspense part of that story more entertaining. I mean, the way they killed and so forth was entertaining, and it looked great. It was action, but there wasn't really a lot of pushback. It was like a lot like, the dealing with stormtroopers. They were just kind of falling over and taking bullets and so forth. So it wasn't bad from that, but the Nazis were really stupid. It felt like Indiana Jones, only it didn't have the charm of Indiana Jones. It felt a bit like Mission Impossible, but it didn't have the charm of Mission Impossible. So it was good. It was good for what it was, but the origin story made the movie, because you're like, oh, this really happened, or a version of it really happened in real life, and that was interesting because I'd never heard that story told before. So,
off the back of the movie, because the movie was entertaining, it was good. Now, it's quite interesting because I heard you talking about this briefly a couple of shows ago, Scott, and me and John had already spoken about it, and I'd already told John my thoughts. And when you said that the spy bit of it was the more interesting part, that's the bit that I switched off at. I actually thought that just dragged on too long. That slowed the movie down. For me, it halted the pacing of the movie. Now, they needed to break it up a little bit. You can't just have Henry Cavill just sort of like just being crazy,
sticking out his tongue, shooting everybody.
Just constantly. There had to be a respite somewhere, and I get that. But I by the end of the film, I'd switched off to that part of it entirely. I thought, I am not interested in this at all. It's not that there was anything wrong with the actors or with the actual thread of the plot line. I just wanted to get back to Henry Cavill and his team just pissing about.
Yeah.
They were just mucking about. They were just like killing people in entertaining ways. And I just thought, I just want more of that. I'm just quite enjoying that, and I just want more of that. But having said that, you are right. I knew it was based on true events when I went into it. and then you get a little synopsis right at the end about what happens to them afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was interested enough to buy the book about it.
Okay.
Which I haven't even started yet. So don't ask me. Don't ask me any questions. But yeah, so having watched the film, I was interested enough to want to learn more about these people, these real life people and real life events. So that's probably the best thing about the film. It just makes you sort of kind of interested to learn more about these true life events.
Yeah.
Seems outrageous.
Yeah.
One other small point was, I had watched The Crown, and I'd watched John Lithgow as Winston Churchill, and this was probably the worst Winston Churchill I'd ever seen, because I've seen some really good Winston Churchills over the last 5 years. Yeah. So it was a bit over the top, and that kind of took it away a bit, because I was thinking, you, sir, are no John Lithgow. So. I can name another couple off the top of my head now that were much better, which is, shame for the guy. But, big shoes to fill, and he just... Yeah, exactly.
Fell short. Sorry. Weren't good enough.
Yeah, like Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. I mean, that was a really good one. So, I know. You're right.
Yeah. I think Timothy Spall was Winston Churchill in the King's Speech. And he was a better Winston Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Every Winston Churchill I've ever seen was better than the guy in that movie.
Yeah.
So.
Whose name we don't know. Sorry, guy whose name we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a very good actor, but you say, no Winston Churchill.
I've seen him in a lot of other movies. So, he's in James Bond, the newer James Bond movies. And,
yes, that's where I've seen him.
And some other stuff. So,
right.
And another quick thing, and then we'll move on to Paul. You got another quick one?
Moonfall. I watched it on Prime, and it got shellacked when it was released. It was the one where Halle Berry and the moon, where the moon was moving closer to the Earth, and it was on a collision course.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about it, and I know it got it got savaged when it came out. A lot better than the reviews gave it credit for. But
I don't know why it got savaged to that extent, because I've seen it and I thought it was actually.
I don't even remember hearing it.
Well, I don't know. There's a weird thing that's going on in Hollywood, and did you notice that the guy who was in it? It wasn't really a Halle Berry lead movie. It was a shared lead with the gentleman who played. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it Patrick Wilson?
Patrick Wilson.
Is that what he's called? He was Night Owl in Watchmen.
Okay.
He's a great actor. He's a great actor. He loved his son, and it's weird that if you were literally just reading the reviews, you would not even know he was a lead in the movie, which I found just fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
John Bradley did a great job from Game of Thrones. He was the same type of character, and he brought a really good acting job and some suspense to the character. It was an original concept based on other original concepts. I had never seen the moon colliding with the Earth, but the CGI looked pretty fucking neat.
Oh, so there's a happy ending?
There's a happy ending, yeah. But the way they showed the moon and what would happen from a physics point of view, if the moon came close to Earth, everything would get sucked up. And they did a really good job of that, and it was interesting to see that, because I had never seen those special effects before. And also, I believe, and I may be wrong on this, I believe it was the last acting job that Donald Sutherland had. And he had it was like a 10-minute, remember the 10-minute scene he had with Halle Berry? I think that was his last acting gig ever, which to me was like, okay, that made it worth it. It wasn't completely memorable, but the fact it was Donald Sutherland was interesting to me. But it looked like they had planned a sequel, but the way they explained it, you think about it, we just have a moon. We don't know why we have a moon. It's always been there, but this was a story written around that one. That's why I say it was kind of original, because their explanation for why we have a moon and how it affects our future, I thought that was interesting. It was original storyline writing that on a subject that had not really been explored before.
You should have told that. You sent that movie to the two of us, and then we all could have watched it. And
I watched it at work. I didn't plan on watching it. I was just looking for something to watch at work.
Hey, Paul, you watched it?
I've watched it. Yeah, it's you that's letting the side down.
Okay, well then, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Well.
It deserved to do much better than it actually did.
You know, your statement's not wrong, Paul.
Yeah.
So I'll go watch it. I'll watch it tonight. Yeah, Moonfall on Prime, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You only got to go back a couple episodes, Paul, and I proved my point. No, I didn't watch that. Yeah.
Nothing I noticed about Moonfall, maybe Halle Berry wore next to no makeup, and I'm telling you, what a dog! What a dog without makeup. It's amazing. She's 55. She's 55, and she's still like sweet Jesus. She's still got that Catwoman body.
Yeah.
And I love watching her. She's on Twitter. She goes on Twitter, and she promotes her films really well. She just had a new film that came out there about a month ago, and she was on Twitter cracking jokes, and that's how you do it. When I see some of these kids that promote films by going in an ideological direction or so forth, I'm like, guys, just fucking promote the film well, talk about who you're in, have a few videos of them and you goofing around. People are going to watch you more that way than going in there and saying, it's about this, this, and this, and this, and you aren't invited. It's weird. That to me is the difference between New Hollywood and Old Hollywood. Old Hollywood knows how to promote their shit.
Yeah. So, all right, Paul, what do you got? And then we'll move on here.
Okay.
Did you watch it? No, a couple, whatever.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk briefly about the ballerina trailer.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I did watch it after you put it on Twitter. Let me know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So very quickly then, I think it looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a massive fan of the John Wick films. I think they're great. I love those John Wick films.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So I've kind of been looking forward to this because I know it's in the same world as John Wick, which is a pretty cool world.
Yeah.
Obviously skeptical that it was going to be any good because it's not a John Wick film, even though it's in the same world, same universe. Having seen the trailer, and I don't know how many of those fight scenes or stunts Ana de Armas actually does, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. It looks kind of at least as good as some of the fight scenes that Scarlett Johansson did for Black Widow, for Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought that looks entertaining as fuck. I'll watch that. That looks pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I know.
I'm looking forward to that now, much more than I was before the trailer came.
Yeah. What I like is that I'm sure the Basement Dwellers, as I sent out in the tweet, are going to hate it no matter what, right?
Yeah.
But what got my interest also is at the start, it wasn't like automatically this is who she is, because if you put it automatically, people are going to say, oh, they Mary sued her right away. She can't do this, she can't do that. They marry her. Is that they show a background of her training, right?
Yes.
Her training, and the one thing is it because she's small in that the instructor told her this and this, and then cheat.
Yeah.
because this is who you are, you're going to have to cheat.
Yeah.
And I thought, excellent. I really love that. It isn't just her dropping in and doing stuff and guys in the basement jerking off, screaming she's been Mary sued. It says, this is why she is capable to do this stuff. They've trained her for this years, but they also told her cheat. And so...
Yeah. So it's not that she's better than all these blokes that are much bigger than her.
Yeah.
She cheats.
Yeah.
It's like
she does anything she needs to win. Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to it now. I am. I'm going to go see it. And like you said, the John Wick world, where it's, let's be honest, it's murder porn in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much.
Because it's all about acting and putting bullets in people's heads.
Yeah. It reminds me of sort of 80s action films, which had action in them just for the sake of having action in them.
Yeah.
But it's just done so well that it's brought it into the 21st century. It's like a 21st century 80s action film.
Yeah, it could be any of those where you see the guys getting shot, and but this, I don't know. It's something different. I don't know what it is. I think the one thing just pops in my mind different is that every time they show a guy getting shot, then they move on. But with these guys, it's 1 second. Got to pull a bullet in the head and make sure he doesn't get up. Right?
Yeah.
It's.
They're just spraying blood all over the place these days, aren't they? It's like there weren't even any sort of like bullet hits, holes, blood, or anything. Back in the 80s, just spray a machine gun around and 25 people fall down like they've all just been killed instantly by this random spray of bullets.
We'll shoot them 3 or 4 times in the chest, but let's make sure we put one in the head.
It looks cool though.
Yeah.
That's actually what I liked about John Wick. His fights, and I kind of relate it to pro wrestling. When you give your opponent some offense, it makes for a better fight.
Mm-hmm.
And John Wick, he had the shit kicked out of him in his fights, and a lot of them, it was back and forth. It wasn't just him. And when I mentioned the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, where your opponent is able to get some offense in, it makes for a more artistic and interesting fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is the thing that has given John Wick the longevity it has, because you tell stories with those fights. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting part of it, and that's what I found with that.
When you said that, it reminds me, I don't know which film it was, with those 2 guys fighting John Wick in the glass, and they were big fans, right? I'm really big fans. This is an honor. This is an honor, and they're beating the shit out of him, and then I can't remember the reason why, but they stop.
Yeah,
and it's okay. Just give me a second here.
Stories like that.
Give me a little. Give me a second here, and they're okay. No problem. No problem.
Yeah. The story behind that, and I don't know whether you know this, is that while they were filming it, Keanu Reeves fell over or hurt himself or something, or slipped or whatever, ended up on the floor. It wasn't scripted. That wasn't choreographed. He wasn't supposed to do that. So the 2 people that were in the scene with him stopped and went to go and help him up. But Keanu Reeves stayed in character, just told him to stop, and then they started fighting again.
Yeah.
But they left it in. They left it in the movie, so that's how it happened. It wasn't scripted. It was just a happy coincidence.
But that was like one of the great scenes in that thing.
Yeah, that's how movies work. Sometimes you just capture magic just by keeping the thing rolling.
Yeah,
and then you get someone like Keanu Reeves who just, it didn't sort of like just shout, "Oh, fucking hell, let's go and do it again."
Yeah,
he's sort of like just, there was a mistake made, but he just pushed through, even though he'd hurt himself, and then he just carried on.
Wow,
great scene.
Yeah,
great scene. But yeah, when you were talking then, I was thinking about exactly the same thing when you started talking about it. That's really weird. I thought exactly the same thing.
So,
but he does that. He tells, even with the people he's fighting, he tells little mini stories in these fights with body language, and that's why I think the longevity. That's why I think people don't say, "Oh, this is just one long fight." It's not. It's a bunch of little mini stories that make up, make up a bigger movie.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, and then something else there, Paul, besides that?
Oh, yeah. Hit Monkey, season 2.
Oh, yeah. I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm only about 4 or 5 episodes in at the moment, so I've not watched the whole thing. That first episode in season 2, that's the way it ends. I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like best thing ever. Rest of the episodes didn't quite hit that high.
Yeah.
They're telling a different story. They had to go in a slightly different direction.
Yeah.
So I'm still enjoying it. Not necessarily as good as season 1, not as good as the first episode of season 2, but it is what it is. It's good fun. I'm enjoying it.
That's good.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's not even a case of it's not shit enough to stop watching. It's actually pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying watching it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and the other thing, very quickly, and I haven't finished this season yet either. I'm about halfway through Terminator Zero. Did we talking about that last time?
We talked about it on Twitter. We talked it on
that where I've
Twitter.
seen it?
Yeah, I watched 2 episodes and I was bored.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's it's a weird one. It's kind of a reimagining of Terminator, isn't it?
Well, Terminator. Was it 3? Hey, Scott left.
Oh shit, we've lost Scott.
Oh.
Well, let's keep talking about Terminators.
Okay.
But
I just this is the same as Terminator 3, where he's going after the kids because they can't get the parents or shit. And I said, and no, I don't. It's just boring. I don't want to see that again. I'm tired of seeing them doing the same stories, you know. And even with they did that one movie where the girl was instead of Connor, it was the girl. And I said, fuck off. Do something. Get out of that. Get something fucking different, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think I read something on the internet that James Cameron has said, this is kind of the future of the franchise. Just, just expand outwards. Just, take it in different directions.
Yeah.
Different ideas, do different things.
Yeah. I heard that too. He said, that story's beat. There's other stories than keep having to go back in time to kill Connor or whatever. Let's do a story where they're not, or at the start of the war, something. But unless I see something totally different, I'm not bothering with the Terminator series anymore. So
no, still a fan of the franchise, but they need to do something new.
Oh, I'm a fan of the franchise, but it's got to be a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. So stop retelling the same story. Yes. I know how it ends. Thanks.
Yeah, they're supposed to be coming out with a comic book too, but if I pick up and look at it and I see, you're telling the same story. I want something fucking totally different. Not with time travel, not with the same characters, not after going to kids or something. Fuck that shit. So, but, anyways. Okay, so Scott's back after he went and wanked one off. Is that true? Yeah. So.
Actually, you know what's fucked up, and I won't spend too much time on this because it's a pain in the ass. I unplugged my laptop to plug in the light here to shine on me during the podcast, and my fucking laptop just died, and I plugged it in. And when I came back, I'm thinking, did I not leave? Was I still sitting in the chair? Was there a ghost there? Because I literally walked over. I'm thinking. Because my whole screen went dark, and I just dropped off completely. And the fact that I thought I was going to have to sign back in, you're going to have to log me back in, but I just came back like that. But anyway,
maybe it was So we'll move on just quickly for something that we anyway. Read anything comic book? The quick thing you want to talk about? It could be even comic book or even a book. If there's something you read that you've just started, you're interested and want to talk about. So
I have stuff, but if someone wants to go first, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I'll have mine is quick. I started reading that Jenny Sparks DC, where she's a character from The Authority, right?
I looked into that. Because you told me about that last time we spoke, and I thought I like the sounds of that.
Yeah.
I actually I bought Volume 1 and Volume 2 of The Authority, which I intended to start reading, but I haven't yet.
So
who's got the time?
So, anyways, my quick thing is that it's a quick blurb out of it. It's nothing really important, but it's very interesting. Superman is talking to Jenny Sparks, and if she's trying to light a cigarette, he keeps blowing it out, and she says, he goes, "That's going to kill you." She goes, "That's the idea." But they're talking about how they're planning and they're going to do something, and they're waiting for the Flash to show up. So they get minimal casualties or something. And he flies off and she goes, "Gee, you snog the guy once and don't phone him back. He gets a little pissy." So Superman and Jenny did the bad deed in it. And it was like, she mentioned that in different parts of the books where she's banged people. And it's just, I needed something to do, and they're superheroes or something like that. It's written by Tom King, so it's really good. I really enjoy it. So
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this. I like Tom King as a writer, but what I found is that whatever I read of his, it always starts really good.
Yeah.
And it goes on too long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like DC normally give him at least like 12 issues of something.
Yeah.
I think if you gave him like 8 or 10 at the most, I think he'd tell a much better story. I think filling 12 issues of anything is just slightly beyond him because it always tails off at the back end. It doesn't end as... Nothing I've ever read of his ever ends as strong as it starts.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
The journey's great, though. I do like his writing.
The villain, Adam, what the fuck? He was originally a criminal, I found out, and they gave him superpowers like a sun or a nuclear man. Fuck. Shit. I wasn't gonna bring this up, so I don't remember his name, but he's gone. Ooh, little nuts.
Captain Atom?
Yes, Captain Atom. That's it.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's gone a little nuts. And so they're trying to... He's believing that he is a god. The god. So, I am so far 2 books and I'm enjoying it. You guys, anything quick?
I've been reading a book called Feral. It's basically it's a cat version of the zombie apocalypse. It's well written, written by Tony Flex and drawn by Trish Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of The Walking Dead. They've had some really good homage covers too. Nightmare on Elm Street, Night of the Living Dead. It's very well written and it's well paced. It reminds me of Kirkman's writing on The Walking Dead. It's on issue 7 now, but it's funny because it's really written through the viewpoint of the cats, but it's basically this infection that is, basically turned all animals into zombies, and it's killing all the humans also. And it's when when Old Yeller died, you felt terrible. When you have these cats, it's the same. Like in the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, someone would just die out of nowhere, and there was that shock, and that's happened a few times in this series, and it's very well written, and the art is almost Disney-esque, which adds to the fact that it's a really shocking comic, and that really adds to it. It gives impact to whenever these pets or animals take a dirt nap, which I thought was very interesting. So it's on issue 7 from Image. I think you could probably get all the issues of it, but it's really well written. I think it's going to last probably for 30 or 40 issues easily, because the way they're telling the story, they're setting it up, but it's a slow burn, which is what books like this need to do. Make it more about, ironically, the human aspect than about just what's happening in the world. So I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Paul, anything?
I'm just looking up with Feral now as we speak.
Okay.
Feral Volume 1, trade paperback.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I got a crap book. I'm finishing a Doctor Who book with the Zygons in it, and then I'm moving to my pile of comics that I'm way behind on. Get caught up on there. So, okay. If that's it,
I intend to read more than I actually do. No, yeah. I've been reading a book. I've been reading a proper book.
Oh, that's what I mean. If you're reading a book and you enjoy it, you can give it a quick shout out if you want.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I've mentioned this. I don't think I have. You might not be able to. You're not going to
I can't see that. Yeah.
So basically, I read a book while I was away on holiday earlier this year. It was a Living Dead book. It was started by George Romero, who did the sort of like the classic zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, that sort of thing. And he died while he was writing the book, and someone else sort of ghost writ it, for want of a better expression, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I read the book, and then there was a load of shit at the back end about George Romero and about how he's thankful to his wife for letting him write the book and all this, that, and the other. Anyway, they wrote a character into it called Etta Hoffman, who it basically just records the zombie apocalypse, just records everything. She works at some government facility, and she's just collating information from all over the world and just recording it. And years pass, and she ends up with all these different volumes of different people's stories and events and that sort of thing. She's quite a big character in the book. And then at the back end, apparently the writer based that character on an author, a German author. That's the book that I'm reading at the moment. E.T.A. Hoffman. The book's called Tales of Hoffman. Collects some stories. Now, Hoffman, I think it's about 200 years ago when he was writing these stories. And it's kind of like Edgar Allan Poe, that type of thing. So it's like that classic macabre, horror, sort of surreal, sort of creepy type thing. But he's actually predates Edgar Allan Poe, interestingly, but writes the same sort of thing. And it's interesting. I find I wouldn't go as far as to say, oh, you need to read it because it's really good. It's kind of not really good, but I always find it interesting. It's 200-year-old stories, you know. It's like, that's just amazing, you know. This guy who was lived in a 200-year-ago world was writing this sort of thing. I just find that stuff so interesting. It's fascinating. And point being that I'd never heard of this guy until I read a zombie book, and one of the characters was based on it, and then all the blurb at the end about George Romero and all this, that, and the other, just picked up on it, and I just thought, I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to broaden my horizons. I'm going to pick it up, and I did. But cool. It's interesting as a curiosity, rather than reading it and thinking this is fucking awesome. I'm not going to read it again when I finished it. But I'm going to finish it.
That's fine.
Because it's just interesting. It makes me sound like an intelligence, and that's the important thing.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the one thing we all watched. We picked that one thing. It was a movie called Jolt. It's on Prime Video, starring Kate Beckinsale and Tucci. Is that
Tucci?
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
So basically, she's a character who has a flaw in her genetics that she's
impulse control.
Control, but the impulse control also sets off stuff that make it a little bit more like in it as adrenaline rush. Sometimes you hear stories or suddenly they get this as rush and they can lift a car or something like that. So this concept is that every time that happens to her, this extra amount of strength comes out, and she has a hard time controlling her anger. She sees scenarios in her mind, and she uses this wiring system that says a jolt through her to calm her down. And within the story, you guys add anything that I might miss when I'm going along, but she is trying to calm down, not to be this person, and her psychiatrist tells her that maybe you need to find someone you can connect with. And she finds someone, this person gets killed, and she goes on a vendetta to find out who killed this person. Is that correct in my description? Basic?
That's pretty accurate.
Yep. Okay. So again, it was another one where the one thing I liked about the movie is that even though Kate Beckinsale is this tiny little woman, and they give you the explanation why she's as strong as she is, and the stuff she can do, but they didn't tell you exactly who she was until it was about halfway through the movie. You just thought this was some girl that had this condition, right? That made her do this stuff, but she was able to pull off beating bigger guys and stuff like that. And it just, if they don't put that one out, you just think, okay, well, this is a little hard to take. because, even if she's got this anger issues and stuff with Mina, she's still a tiny woman. She has to do certain stuff to be able to do the things she does. And so they gave that expression, which I enjoyed in the middle of the thing. Not
I'll be
right
right
at
back,
the...
guys. Give me a minute.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it wasn't... It's like, okay. And then you see all this background of what she did, and or a lot of it's redacted because you can't get into it and stuff like that. I enjoyed it. Was it a little far-fetched? Of course, most of those type of movies where you get these individuals, even big or strong, going through tons and tons of people, right? It's not going to happen. It's not. There's no way it's going to fucking happen. But overall, I like Kate Beckinsale. She's just a little too skinny, like one quick kick to the leg and you'd break her leg. But then you got to throw that all aside for the concept of the movie, right? I enjoyed her. Tucci was good as always.
I was surprised to see him. I didn't expect him to be in this.
No, neither did I. So
it looks like he'll just be in anything.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was fine. It was, it's sometimes, and we've had this conversation in the past. It's sometimes just being okay is good enough.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. Mm-hmm. It was good enough. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad film. It's not the best one. I was just Googling it just to find the name of the film. I'm just blanking on it. But the Underworld films that she was in quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
How old are they now?
Oh, I don't know.
It must be 2006. No, that's 2003. 20 years.
Wow.
20 years ago when it came out. Oh my God, that's crazy. She doesn't look like she's changed.
No,
really very much at all. Really, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Not as good as Underworld.
No.
But it's good enough. It was interesting. It was entertaining. It was quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
You could see where they'd cut some corners.
Yeah.
You could see because some of the scenes looked like they were filmed in an empty room, and the way that they just blocked out the background in total darkness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, you're just saving money on sets here. So clearly, quite a tight budget when you're making it. So, considering it was clearly a low budget film, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was good enough. Am I going to watch it again? No.
Oh, no.
They set it up that there might be a sequel.
Yeah.
Would I watch the sequel? Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Me too.
Because the one thing you can say about it is, even though, some of it was probably a bit cheesy, some of it was probably a little unbelievable, but she was actually quite good in it. Kate Beckinsale was actually quite good in it. Her character was quite interesting to watch. She was a little quirky, she was quite funny.
Yeah. When you bring that up, the one that pops in my mind, and she says, she ends the fight scene, and she's sitting on the guy's neck. And she says something about his Adam apples really working for me here.
Yeah, that's right. that was quite funny.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure whether that was scripted or not.
So, but
I was just saying, Scott. I think the best thing about the movie, not that the movie was terrible. I think the best thing about it was Kate Beckinsale herself. I think she was quite good. I think she made it entertaining. I think she was sort of like a little quirky, a little funny. It made it worth watching.
Mm.
I'm a huge fan of Stanley Tucci. Whenever he's in a movie, I enjoy his acting.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Cannavale, the guy who played the detective, there was some writing issues with it. I mean, I can relate to it. I've been in a police station before, and I've been back behind the main desk. and I was with someone, and within 15 seconds, they left me to talk to somebody, and within 15 seconds, someone said to me, "Can I help you? What are you doing back here?" In this film, she walked into a police station, grabbed the guy's badge, went back into the evidence room, and no one said boo to the gorgeous woman. And I was thinking that was some shitty writing. And in various parts of the film, I was thinking, this is not very good writing. Kate Beckinsale, when she's fighting in those platform boots, whenever I see people, very strong women wearing those type of clothes and doing that type of walk, I call it the supermodel walk, but they're supposed to be trained fighters. It just takes it out. I hated when they did it in Arrow. So it wasn't bad. I'm a big fan of Kate Beckinsale also. There were aspects. I thought the actual storyline idea was very unique, but its execution was just okay. Laverne Cox, loved her in Orange is the New Black. This was just all very good actors, but I've seen them in much better parts. That's the only thing I found about that. And there was some writing issues, like storyline wise, that I was thinking this really didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I think when you left, you've got to throw reality out, okay? Because these worlds would never exist, and that small woman doing that stuff, taking on all these guys and stuff. So I understand you want to ground it so it looks real, but also entertainment wise, you have to throw it out. So
the police writing, the police station one was okay. Outside of all that, the writing, like examples of the police station where how she got into the evidence room, it made no sense.
I know, made no sense, but the movie doesn't make any sense, So it's just enjoy it and have a good. And I don't think there'll be a sequel because that was made quite a while ago, and. Yeah, and actually, there's a preview on Prime right now for her next action movie that's coming out.
Yes. Yep.
She's got another one coming out on Prime. Yeah, so.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, so I'll watch that too. See if she's going. And but when you mentioned the platform shoes and stuff, you brought up. I follow her on Twitter because she's a beautiful woman, right? And. So instead of following the news crap, I want to take a look at beautiful women. But she's also wearing those stupid fucking platform fucking shoes and those things. Yeah. And they must think they're sexy. I think they're fucking ugly as fuck. Yeah. I mean,
the only ones that look sexy on was Kiss.
Yeah. It's just, you just want to go give them a good little poke. Yeah. Boom, down they go. Yeah. But so overall, is it a great movie? No. If you're sitting at home on a rainy, snowy day and you need something to watch, put it on. So that's what I thought. That's what I think, anyways. So yeah. Okay, now, Mr. Newsman, this is where you take over and fill us with a bunch of useless information. I mean, good news information.
I have two podcasts. If you allow me like 2 minutes just to discuss these, because I had them on before.
Well, throw it within the news.
Okay. This was actually, it was unique in that I enjoy the Joe Rogan podcast, but he doesn't have a lot of Hollywood guys on there. Mm-hmm. And he had Russell Crowe and Adam Sandler on there. Mm-hmm. These were 3-hour interviews, so they're in depth. And it was great to see them in these type of interviews because usually you get like the 5-minute entertainment tonight, and they're actually usually very shallow or they don't give you information you've gotten before. And this was Sandler. He had Dennis Quaid, Adam Sandler, and Russell Crowe on within like a week. And I was thinking to myself, I wish more Hollywood folks would go on podcasts like this because it was incredibly informative. Just if you do want to check it out, Adam Sandler was on episode 2187, and he talked about his comedy background. And I found out stuff about him that I had no idea about, where he talked about coming up in the comedy world, doing stand-up, his relationship with Chris Farley, the Happy Gilmore sequel that's coming up. Mm-hmm. He touched on a lot of areas, his time on Saturday Night Live, getting fired from there. It was a really great in-depth interview that you don't get to see because a lot of these guys don't do what they could deem as conservative podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. I enjoyed the interview. You can break it. It's about 2.5 hours. You can break it down, but it's still a very interesting talk. And it's almost like inside the actor studio. If you ever watched that back in the day, it was about an hour long, but this is even better. That was Sandler. Crow, his was fantastic. I couldn't stop listening. I was glad it was about 3 hours long, and he talks about just how basically when everything from when he got fat, Hollywood stopped calling, to his time, his farm in Australia, and how he everything from why he got it to how long he's had it to how he takes care of the animals and makes it more humane, to movies that he did Noah in 2012. I never saw it. It's not one of his better known films, but a background on that made me want to see the film, which is a good thing. He talked about injuries he's had in Gladiator and Beautiful Mind, and it was really a great 3-hour interview that you just don't get to see a lot these days. So that was episode 2191. It was fantastic. Both of them were just fantastic. One awkward moment is there had been a thing when Russell Crowe and Meg Ryan were were filming Proof of Life. Do you remember that film at all? From I think it was 2000.
No. Yeah, I remember it. I'm not sure I ever saw it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Meg Ryan was with Dennis Quaid at that point in time, and I guess her and Russell Crowe screwed around. So when Russell Crowe was on Rogan's show, Rogan lets it drop that he had just interviewed Dennis Quaid the day before, and you can see Russell Crowe register and then realize this guy, and Rogan didn't know. He's outside of all that gossip shit. That's why I love listening to his stuff. But you could see Russell register what he had said, and then register, this guy has no idea what gone on in the past. I'm going to let it pass. But it was interesting. It was funny the way people were like, uh-oh. But nothing came because the old Russell Crowe would have threw a fucking phone at him. But,
Yeah.
But it was a great interview. If you have a chance to watch it or listen to it on a podcast, it's really, really well done. Both of them, actually.
Okay. All right.
And now to the news.
Yeah.
Edmonton Comic-Con. Do you want to discuss this, John, you and I, just to kind of touch on it?
Well, you can. You probably have more to say about it than I did. It was a couple panels were entertaining. I got my feet and legs were more tired walking around that arena.
Yeah, me too.
Number of times than my whole trip in England. It was
concrete.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I could go 5 hours walking around Liverpool for the day, and my feet wouldn't bother me. It was 8 hours, 6 hours in, and I was fucking beat walking around there. And I like going past the animal cages where the artist alley, where they look at you, waiting for you to give them some sort of scrap of attention or food or something, to tables that basically were selling the same shit. Walking by and watching some of these poor panel people with one or two people in it. Just quick, like Jonathan Frakes was there, and he had I think maybe one or two people were no one around. I said to Scott, I wonder what they'd do if I just wanted to walk up and say hi to them. Just a regular conversation, not looking for pictures or nothing, just to say hi. Because the guy looked like he was fucking bored. Scott standing there staring at Emily Swallows like he's got drool coming down his chin.
It's a beautiful lady.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not dishing you that. I'm just saying that's how it was. I mean, Scott's gonna be much more information and details than I can give you, but I just eating a bag of donuts because the lines to get food would have took up 4 hours of your day just to get something to snack on. I'm not saying it was awful. I'm just saying I think the cons that I am interested in going to in Edmonton is kind of like no more. The con going to Calgary might be a little bit better, but if we're gonna go to a con now, you got to save up your money and fly to a larger city in the States, or Toronto or Vancouver, because you're not going to get the type of talent you're going to want to see in a variety of stuff you want to see unless you go to those bigger cons now.
Yeah. Well, we talked before, there's so many other options for actors to do, whether it be cameos or OnlyFans or Fansly, especially the cosplay girls. We had talked about this before.
And boys, because they're dressing both the same.
Yeah, even 6 years ago, you would see some very beautiful cosplayers there, but they've kind of almost feels like they've moved on from these. They're doing OnlyFans and Fansly, and there's other options to make money where they don't have to go and get pawed in public by a bunch of little golems.
Yeah.
So, they're not doing it. The cosplay itself, and I put this on Twitter, it's, Marvel and DC have an uphill battle for the next 10 years, because I'm telling you, to see cosplay from those two, you had Deadpool, which is a big thing, and you saw that a really great Ben Grimm one, but for the most part, it wasn't. It was anime, it was manga, it was video games. Those superhero comic characters, it's just not there. Maybe 10% of the costumes were actually that. The plagiarism, the art, like I said this. If Disney or DC decided to hire 50 lawyers and just send them around to do cease and assist at these cons, they'd be dead within 2 years. I mean, there was a guy. He was literally, it was comic panels. He had blown up and framed them, and were selling them for $90 a piece. I got a few pictures actually that the girl had actually drawn. They were hand drawn. They were charcoal, and they were very beautiful art. But I got other ones that were just nothing more than comic covers that someone had blown up using a color printer, and I refused to pay any more than $15. I made $15, but some of them were asking $40 a pop for basically replications of classic comic covers. Yeah. It was just bullshit. And as I said, if they ever decide to pick a fight with these cons, that's it. They're done. Because I would say better than probably half of them were just basically replications of comic covers and other proprietary stuff that they were selling there. So yeah, that was the two panels we saw, Superman and Lois, and this will interest you, Paul, because they talked about the upcoming season of Superman and Lois. I don't know, have you watched this series at all?
Yeah, I haven't seen the third series yet, the one where they replaced, I've forgot his name.
The kid, yeah.
Yeah, but I know the next one's going to be the final season, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I've not seen it yet, but I will do it sometime.
Well, the seasons were good. Yeah, the first two seasons were good, and the third season, without giving too much away, it was very impressive. Even John had seen the trailer for the last one. It looked like movie quality. They put some money into it, but they were talking about, how it became very obvious during the panel that it was not their decision to end the series, and it wasn't about ratings. It was the fact that James Gunn said, we only want one Superman, and yours has to go. It was funny that they really had no connections to the characters before they came in. The Tyler Hodgkin, I think his last name is, he made it very clear that he really didn't have any connection to Superman or he was a baseball guy, and he just happened to go out for the part, and I think he looked the part. He looked the part of Clark Kent, so they gave it to him. Bitsy Tulik, I think her name is. I love the conversation she had with Grimm. She's married to the star of Grimm. I don't know whether you saw that. I know John did. Did you see Grimm also?
No, I've not seen that one. No.
Very good series. Very good series. And I would love to actually see them come back and revisit that in another TV series. That's something that I don't think was fleshed out as much as it could have been. But she talked a bit about that and the comparison and contrasting from one part to the other. So I really enjoyed that panel. The sad part was there was only like 250 people in there. And like that was it's a 4,000 seat stadium. So when you have when you have 250 people in there, and obviously it was earlier in the day, but when you have that many people, I mean, I think John said at the time, they can't do this long term because, that's the end of it. We did the Flash panel later on the day. That was much more full. That probably had 1,500 people at it.
The Flash is this? I mean, it's got to be CW Flash. That's not.
Yeah, CW Flash. But
Yeah.
the amazing difference was you could tell who had a series that had a season left and who was done, because the Flash panel was much more laid back, and you could tell that they're like, you know what, we're going to go to Edmonton for the weekend. We're going to hang out. We're going to get paid to do it. And we're going to shoot the shit. And that's basically what that panel was just shooting the shit. The MC for it, my God. And I mentioned this to the shop on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're missing Garrett Wang.
We need the Wang back.
We need the Wang. Garrett Wang used to do the Edmonton Expos here, and he was a great master of ceremonies. But this young lady who was doing it, she was just playing with her hair, and it was just...
Yeah. She was asking questions, like she had four people on there, and she needed it, so they each felt like they were there to contribute. That she needed to ask direct questions to each actor.
Yes.
She was just throwing out general questions.
Yeah.
And so the other guys didn't feel, because Garrett was answering, and I think he was answering just because someone needs the answer, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, so if you know, I don't know if she had stuff written down apparently, but it was just like, you have 2 questions for Tom, you have 2 questions for Grant, you have 2 Pamela, is it? What's the lady's her name?
Her name escapes me now.
And then
What her name is?
Yeah.
Hannah Panamaker?
Yeah. And so
Danielle,
and then the actor played Cisco. I think the actor who played Cisco felt really left out. He was on the end.
He was there about 2 years ago when you and I gone. Him and Pat. He's had some issues. He left Flash, and I believe, and I may be wrong on this, that he had asked to be written out of the show. He had been dealing with some mental issues, I guess the best way to put it. And he was very sarcastic even then. But yeah, you could tell he was almost a little offended over something, and I'm not sure what, but it came across that way in the panel.
Yeah, so I thought that was really poorly handled. I mean, you could have got some... even if there were questions that you've answered a dozen times before, at least in my thought, they would have felt like they were there. I've answered, I did some, and he asked me some questions. I felt involved. So
near the end, I felt that Tom Cavanaugh, he had his wrap it up voice. Like, okay, we're done with this. It was just questions, very generic questions. It wasn't a strong flowing conversation, and you could feel it. I mean, the panel of the morning was much better compared to the and I was actually a bit let down by that, because I'm thinking these guys have been together forever. It was a great series, but it seemed like they had just come for the weekend, make some money, shoot the shit, and move on.
The first panel, they had people come up and ask questions, which is always kind of it's an iffy thing. You're going to get some serious questions, and you're going to get people, what happened in episode 1, seeing this, whatever, right? They didn't do that in the second panel, and I said to Scott, fuck, as much as I hate people come up and asking questions, I wish they would have did it with this one. It would have been a lot more entertaining. So overall, not
a bad show. As the day went quicker than I thought it would be, but they have to get better, because each year, like, we paid $63 for a single day to get in, and I'm not sure how many more years they can request that from fans, and fans are going to show up to get it. And again, of the 8 guests they mentioned, the 8 headliners, 5 or 6 of them have canceled.
Yeah.
So that's not good either. So.
Just before any further, if you're hearing this strange noise in the background, my son and daughter decided to do their laundry, so it's the washing machine bouncing around all over the place. So if sometimes I turn off my mic when you guys are talking, it's just so I cut out that background noise of that thing. So
okay. George R.R. Martin this was from a couple of weeks ago, but it's been kind of updated. He had voiced some concern about the second season of House of the Dragon, where he said, basically they're taking out stuff that I'm not sure they should take out because it's going to affect it down the line. That's not a good sign when an executive producer is saying stuff like that and the new season hasn't even come out yet. And that's interesting to me. I don't think I've ever seen a writer and an executive producer say mid-series, you guys are doing some stuff wrong that's really going to hurt the story down the road. So I don't know. Have you guys seen any of that?
I saw a headline saying that, but I didn't go into much detail about what he actually disagreed with. So, having not read the books, I'm not going to know any difference, which is part of the reason why I didn't even bother opening up the article to see what they were talking about, because it's kind of meaningless to me. It's whatever changes they make aren't going to make any difference. But it's not great, is it, when you're only 2 seasons in and the author of the books that the story is based on is coming out and publicly criticising the direction that the story's been taken in. It's not reassuring, is it?
Well, he felt that they left a character in I can't remember, it was a couple, they left a character out of the second season, and by leaving him out of the second season, they're taking away something that if they do a third or fourth season is going to be detrimental to that story. He said that, it's basically a thread. He said, you take that thread out and you can't tell this, and this down the road. And that's basically what he was saying. So
I wonder if they've already decided that they're not going to do that.
Don't know.
Because, I mean, you can't do everything that's in a George R.R. Martin book because there's so much in there. I can't imagine this isn't another Game of Thrones. This isn't another 8-season show.
Well, funnily enough, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, they paid, my understanding, I've not read the books, but they paid complete homage to the books. Did you happen to read them by any chance?
No, I haven't actually read the books.
And that's when they said it fell apart, because the first, I think, 3 books the Game of Thrones was based on, they stayed pretty clear to it, and that's why people liked it. It wasn't until they had caught up to him and decided to go their own way that people thought it fell apart. And you think they would have said, okay, wait a minute, we need to listen to this guy, because when they were doing his books faithfully in the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, people loved it. And then in the later seasons, the amount of dismissiveness, when it wasn't that bad. I didn't find it that bad. Of course, I've never, obviously we've never seen the books yet. I didn't find it that bad, but the vitriol towards that 8th season, people, they're like, there's still petitions out there that saying, let's redo it. And even the actors themselves, there's a few of them that have been vocal over time that said there were mistakes made. There's varying degrees of how hostile they are towards it. But, and you would think on this, they would have said, okay, people enjoyed this when he was doing it this way, and they didn't enjoy it when this was done this way. And it seems like in the first, at least the second season, that they went back to doing it the way they were, where the executives were making the decision and he didn't get as much input. And the second season itself, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't near as good as the first, I found.
No, I'd agree with that. Aside from 2 or 3 events, which were pretty fucking cool. Mm-hmm. How many episodes were there? Was it 6 or 8? I can't remember.
8, I think.
8, yeah.
You can't have dragon fights every episode, though. That's the problem.
Well, you can't. No, you can't. And that is the problem, because you show a big dragon fight in one episode, and the next episode is going to be just sort of a one set sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as. This is the thing. This is what I mean. It's not Game of Thrones. It's not as good as Game of Thrones.
No.
The character interaction isn't as deep or as interesting, or as it just doesn't have that same depth to it as Game of Thrones did. It's kind of suffering from it. If you don't have the cast of characters, if you don't have all those moving parts, if you don't have all that sort of backstabbing and duplicity and all the interesting stuff, you need dragon fights. And if you can't afford dragon fights, and you don't have anything interesting going on when you don't have dragons on screen, you're kind of fucked.
No. They can't have the greasy prick, and I don't know if they're mentioned on here. I think I put in tweets. They can't have the shitty characters. There can't be a Braun of the Blackwater because he's a vile little man that talks about fucking women and screwing everybody and killing everybody, and that character really isn't allowed where Hollywood's at now. Unfortunately, a lot of the characters in the original Game of Thrones were devious little bastards. They got their comeuppance, but you needed to be able to show those characters first. But they're not allowing them to do that now, and it's hurting the series. It really is.
That's kind of the point of Game of Thrones, though. It's a lot of terrible people all fighting over being on the throne, and you kind of didn't want any of them to win.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. It's like, oh no, it's like who's the bigger shitbag? Well, we don't want him to win. You're not quite as big a shitbag, so we want you to beat him on this occasion.
That's what I was going to say, Paul. They're all pricks. They're all
that's right.
They're pricks to all different degrees. There's the big prick and there's the tiny prick, but they're all pricks, right?
Yeah.
So
the councils in House of the Dragon. You look at all the interesting characters that came out of the various councils of Westeros and the North and so forth. They're not in there. Oh, the only thing that they talk about is how a woman should be on the throne, and they've done that a lot, and they keep beating that point home. But the characters who are beating that point home aren't growing the way they did in the Game of Thrones. They're just one-dimensional characters, and that's going to hurt them down the road. But and I'm guessing George R.R. Martin realizes that, and that's why he's speaking up now. So,
well, it goes back to that thing. In my opinion, is that we've talked about this, you and I, Scott, how writing is now gotten worse because there's no what was it? How you experience life experience out there.
Yeah.
So they're just going from what they're seeing on YouTube and Tik and stuff like that, and writing stories that they think people want to watch because they're watching Tik and YouTube and TikTok, but all those things. So the development of stories are very, very weak. So
a lack of life experience, and in some areas, depending on whether it's a rigid ideology or a loose ideology, it's hurting writing. It really has. The last four, you've got the pandemic also where people were sitting in their houses for 4 years. I think it's really hurting writing in general in Hollywood, but it is what it is. I saw this earlier today. I was curious your thoughts on it. Bane and Deathstroke team-up movie is in the works at DC Studios. I confirmed this. It actually is going to happen.
Someone said, I read or said, it's not. It doesn't happen till it's on the screen. At any point along, it can be tanked. So
I would have believed that, but it was Hollywood Reporter, and James Gunn has made a point, and he has said this in an interview. We're not going until we're sure of the direction we're going in. You're not going to hear about it.
Okay.
And the fact that got out by the Hollywood Reporter, it was a decent source. It makes me think that they're going to go into that area. Deathstroke, that's been tossed around for years, ever since the Justice League movies, when they hinted at it with him on remember the ending there where he was on the boat. So, and people have been asking about that for years. So I think this could actually happen. I mean, it's a cool team up, villain team ups like that. If done right, I could see it working.
They'd have to cast it right, because it's an interesting choice, because Bane isn't that interesting a character.
No,
he's a blunt instrument. He's more of a henchman, really. I mean, having said that, I might be unfair because
the only time to me I've seen him as a good character is the Harley Quinn cartoon.
It's excellent. I love him in that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the character we're going to put on the big screen, though. No, what was that one? Was it called City of Bane or something? There was like a Batman storyline, and I was kind of out of Batman at that point. So I don't actually know whether it was any good in that or not. But what I have seen of Bane so far, it's like he's not that interesting to watch. he's
My
just
guess,
very, very strong.
Dave Bautista is going to be Bane. That's
Really? I don't think
my
so.
guess.
No, I think he's gone past that.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen those photos of him?
He
After
has,
he's lost all his muscle and all that weight.
He has,
not
but
so
he is.
sure.
Well, you can get that back. He's been cutting and gaining for years, and he said I would do anything to work with James Gunn. All those guys are just love the man. And if he said, look, you know what, you're going to be playing a cool fucking character. We're going to get to work together. You're gonna make some money. I'll make sure the character is interesting, just like I did Drax with Guardians of the Galaxy. He'll at least read the script. But I'm guessing he's going to be the first ones offered the part if he hasn't already. And I don't think they'd announce it unless it had gone far enough where they had thought about casting.
He's slimmed down. If you take a look, there's been posts. There's a character in DC Comics. That he looks like now, slimmed down. He looks like this character. He's some sort of scientist or something. I don't know not much about my background in DC Comics is really small, so you'd have to go DC Comics and in DC Comics Batista and something to give you. It's out there. I've seen it. So.
People forget Tom Hardy played Bane, and Jesus Christ, he's about 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah.
And when you put in a commanding performance, you can do whatever you want with it as long as it's well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, he certainly got noticed, didn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't really think that it was a good movie. What was it called? Dark Knight Rises, I think it was.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was actually that good, but I did enjoy Tom Hardy's performance as Bane because, like I say, I find Bane he's quite two-dimensional as a character. Yeah. I won't go as far as to say one-dimensional. I'll give him two. But he's not an interesting character. But I think Tom Hardy made him sort of interesting, just the performance, just sort of like that voice, that iconic voice.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's memorable. It's so memorable. At least it was interesting to watch. At least,
So I found I found that character, Hugo Strange.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
I literally brought it. I had it up on screen.
Did you too? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Strange. Yeah. He just beat me to it. Yeah, he does kind of look like him. I suppose it depends how he's drawn, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm quite
the mountain. The mountain with the actor who plays the mountain in Game of Thrones. There's your Bane right there.
Oh yeah.
There's your Bane.
Yeah.
Or even the guy who played Jack Reacher. He's a big fella.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But we talked about this briefly, John. Megalopolis, the new Francis Ford Coppola film. I don't know anything about it. I've never watched the trailer. What I've seen, it looks interesting. But Thursday night, the previews, $770,000 on a $120 million budget. I know it's Thursday night, but ouch. That bodes not well for the weekend for a big budget film like that.
Say that again?
$770K, less than $1 million.
Yeah.
Even $1 million.
On a budget of $120 million.
Oh, wow.
Like that's ouch. But the thing is, I don't know anything about the movie.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I know nothing
This is
about
the problem. No, I have absolutely no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea.
No.
That may be a good thing.
The other thing that it's the same name for a movie that was made back in the 20s and 30s.
Yes. I don't know anything about it, which may be a good thing. It's Francis Ford Coppola. He's not the guy who was doing like Burger King commercials. He's got a proven track record.
Yeah.
But yes, he has. But the problem is that if you ever see, and I haven't seen very much, but if you do see any marketing or hear any marketing for it, that's what they're selling it as. It's a Coppola movie. Yeah. And there's going to be an awful lot of people who either aren't going to know who Francis Ford Coppola is, who aren't going to care.
Yeah.
I think what they haven't actually sold the film on what the film is. They're selling it on who's made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
No, and that's what I Yeah, I have no idea what the film's about.
No.
Absolutely no idea.
120 million in. You think they say take 2 million to just put in marketing?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Jesus.
Yeah, not even that. Fuck's sake, just put a tweet out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a bomb. Not in the vein of what was that one that just bombed with Jamie Lee Curtis and
Borderlands.
Borderlands, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. That's $110 million. Hoo-wee.
I
Well,
kind of want to watch that. Just
well,
like morbid curiosity.
I'm gonna watch it when it comes on free. Right now, you can rent it on
Yeah.
on Prime, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not paying for it.
Oh.
Apparently, it's
You know, it is self-fulfilling prophecy. If I don't go and see it in the theaters, I can see it sooner at home.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people saying, yeah, it didn't do good the first weekend. That means it's going to be on video probably within the next month.
Yeah.
Why am I going to see it the second weekend when I can see it for cheaper in the comfort of my own home a month from now?
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait till I can see it for free. Not spending money on it, but I do feel like I need to watch it because the reviews have been so bad, and the game series that it's based on, I really like.
Yeah.
Those games are great. I love those games. But this movie is supposed to be an absolute waste of everyone's time and money.
When I saw who was in it, I said it felt very generic. Like it's a shame. I saw them, and I'm thinking, okay, this seems like the A team of generic actors in this genre that I wouldn't see in this genre. That's another thing. It didn't feel like the geeks. These definitely weren't video game geeks in this. They were just there for the paycheck. But
the other thing I heard about is it Elon Roth that did it or something?
Yeah.
Eli Roth.
He
Roth.
basically said, well, we're not going to do what the video game did. We're going to do something different. So he just basically took the title, took some of the characters, made his own story. And for the video gamers, it's like, well, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because a movie based on a popular video game franchise should be about the video game franchise.
Yeah.
Because who else is going to go and see
Yes.
it? If you make a movie that's completely different to the video game franchise, the nerds aren't going to want to see it because it's not about the thing that they like.
Yeah.
It's like, no, well, okay, fuck you then.
Yeah.
And people have been saying that more and more. If they don't like something, they're just not going to see it. Mad Max Furiosa learned that. I had heard nothing that it's a good film, but it flopped at the movie theaters.
It's another Mad Max film. I enjoyed it, but anyways, go ahead.
But it did. But what I'm saying is the way it was received in the cinemas, people were like, "I think it's this. I'm just not going to go."
Oh, okay.
Last of Us trailer.
I think you've got to be 50 years old to like Mad Max films. I think.
Yeah. Pretty much.
If you're not, exactly. I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to. I really enjoyed Fury Road. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
I watched it again fairly recently, so I'm looking forward to watching Furiosa. But I don't know anyone under 50 years old who gives a single shit about Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's it's of its time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Cool. The Last of Us trailer. I thought it was very well written. Well shot. That scene with the running towards him and the guy in the binoculars, just like, we're fucked. We're properly fucked. That was so well done. And it looks like it's going to be a really good season. It's funny when you look at the comments and you see the gamers who played the game. They're like trying to like console people because they're like, you don't know what's coming and it's very, very bad. So. What did you guys think of it? Either of you seen it?
I haven't watched it simply because it's really weird how my tastes have changed over the last little while. I just go, I love the first series, but I know storytelling requires this to make a storytelling, but it's like, oh, okay, turn the page. What bad happened? Okay, turn the page. What's bad happened? Let's turn the page. That's what bad happened. And it's just, for me, it's getting repetitive. And will I watch it? Probably. Will I be excited about some of it? Probably not, because it's just like, oh yeah, this is just they got a nice place to live and we've got to destroy it because we need to tell the story. Okay, thank you. So, yeah.
When I first thought of it, the first time I thought it was the raid on Winterfell.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. It reminded me a lot of that, and I think it's obviously going to be a different time, and the defenses are going to be, but that shot of him looking through the binoculars like, we are just fucked. Mm-hmm. That was well done.
Yeah.
And it did give you a sense of excitement for the second season, but I don't know. I think Pedro Pascal is in real serious danger of becoming overexposed. Mm-hmm. I've seen so much of him in the last 3 or 4 years, and he's going to be in the Fantastic Four coming up in, I think June of next year, and that's going to be coming out about the same time. And I don't know. It's one of those things. But the gaming's. I didn't realize till I did some research on an article I'm working on. Gaming is huge, and there's a huge amount of people, and there's been so many shit gaming properties that if someone does it right, there's a loyalty there.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The gaming industry is actually bigger than the movie industry.
It is. Yeah.
There's more money circulated in the gaming industry. But back to The Last of Us Part 2. I'm looking forward to it. I saw the trailer. I thought it was a good trailer. It was very well done. But the first season was very well done. I enjoyed it. I'm expecting the second one to be very well done, and I'll probably enjoy that too. But I'm not excited about it because I am a gamer. I do love playing video games, and the thing about video game properties is no matter how good they are, the game is always better because you're involved, you're actually interacting, you actually enjoy playing it. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're just watching something that you've already done yourself, it's not as interesting or as exciting. Whereas if you're watching a property that's based on a comic book hero or whatever, it's just more story. And if you enjoy reading it and you enjoy watching it on TV or in a movie, it's just more story. And that's what the purpose of that character is, to its story. So you can appreciate a comic book adaptation more than you can a video game adaptation, because you're sitting and watching a video game, especially one that if you've already played it, if it's based on something that's story driven, like The Last of Us, having played the game, you can't get excited about it because there's probably going to be very little that's going to surprise me. I'm probably just going to enjoy it and appreciate it. And I will watch it. I'll still watch it, but I can't get excited about it because I already know the important story beats. I already know, I've got a good idea about what's going to happen, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to think, that happened. That's a shame. It's kind of a shame because it looks like it's going to be really good. But I'm But I noticed I was actually taken by surprise. Actually, I didn't realise that the second season of Daryl Dixon comes out shortly.
Yeah, it's a Sunday, the first episode.
It's coming out really soon. I thought, wow, where's that come from? I didn't expect that anytime soon. That's just been dropped. Just like boof, there you go.
It's not must see. It's not must see TV. The difference in the way that they have treated that universe since the end of the main series is fascinating to me. Yeah. It's just not. It's not really an event. It's almost like it's a cookie cutter. They're treating it like a trade paperback. 6 episodes, there you go. 6 episodes, there you go.
Even the series with Rick and Michonne in it, that just got shit out and forgotten about.
Yeah, I know. I said that. I said at the time, and I think maybe I missed the show here. Why the fuck couldn't they have given that 10 episodes? It was rushed storytelling. It was good what it was, but it was incredibly rushed.
It was going to be a series of movies, and then they just shit out 6 episodes, and that was it. And
that's what they're doing with all of them. That's what they're doing with all of them.
But the point being, I'm actually looking forward to Daryl Dixon more than The Last of Us, which I'm probably the only person who's going to say that. But that's only because I have no idea what to expect from the second season of Daryl Dixon.
Okay.
And also Carol's in it, and she's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I hope that they do it justice.
I want to go back to what you said, Paul, about being involved in the games.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I haven't watched a lot of TV is because I've gone back to playing Fallout. And even though it's a basic game of finding stuff and doing quests, I just felt like I was in the story. I was playing. I was more involved than watching some TV series that I have complained about to you guys and other people is that I've seen so much that it's not exciting to me anymore. No matter what twist they do, it's just God, same shit. I've seen this shit, right? The video game, at least I'm the character. I'm moving. I'm making decisions what I'm gonna do, right or wrong. So I feel involved and I'm more entertained. So, so I can understand what you're saying is that if you take a video game adaptation, you're no longer involved, really. You're just seeing an adaptation of the game. You're watching a story played out where you can go to that game and tell your story through the character. So, yeah.
Even the Fallout TV series, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, I loved it.
But
yeah.
It just made me want to go back and play the game.
That's what happened with me. That's what
I have a question for both of you, and it's one of those things that I'm not a gamer, but I do see the news about new games that come out, and there have been some really massive flops in gaming this year. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, lost like $130 million.
Yep.
And it's called, I want to say Starfield, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Bethesda game, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the numbers being tossed around like that are lost. And the amount of people, like, I guess they can tell how many people are online playing a video game at a certain time. And that Justice League one, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, I saw the trailer. I think the trailers are neat. But at one point in time, it was like 127 people playing it online. Just a complete bomb.
Yeah.
And I guess there's been a lot of them this year. And when I see there's been kind of an ongoing feud with gamers where they're like, you're seeing a lot of the creators really push hard into, far left ideologies, on the best way to put it. Because I see the characters and I'm thinking, these characters are created by a certain mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have just bombed spectacularly. Like, we're talking like $150-200 million losses just this year.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that has never really happened in the gaming world before?
Not to this extent.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not to this extent. I mean, you do.
But
you
isn't
have
the
all
budgets
things that?
budgets have gone out the roof for these games too? Also.
Yeah. Well, here's the latest one. In fact, no, it might not be the latest. It might be it's like second in line now. But the biggest one recently is Concord for the PlayStation.
Yes, that's one. Yeah.
Yes. Now that you might not have read this, but I listened to a podcast with a guy who had a source in Sony who was telling this story. Mm-hmm. So basically, this thing's been in development for about 8 years. It's a multiplayer game. Now, I don't have any first-hand knowledge of this. I never played it. I've not seen anything that they're talking about.
Yeah.
I gather it looked extremely generic. I gather the characters that they created were very sort of generic and, let's say, checkboxy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And the game came out, and I think it was within a week, they shut down the servers,
yes.
recalled it, refunded everyone's money.
Yeah.
The game cost, Sony made about $1 million in sales, most of which they'll have had to refund.
Yeah.
The game, in development for 8 years, cost $400 million.
Yes.
Holy fuck.
$400 million.
That's fascinating to me.
They only sold $1 million worth, and they've had to refund those.
I never even heard of the game.
Yeah.
That's the only time most people have heard of it is because it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I believe that's the biggest bomb in gaming history, just because of by virtue of the amount of money that they put into it, and then just cut its throat.
There's a civil war going on in the industry, and I'm kind of outside of it looking in, and I was reading there was a company that has decided to put millions into retro gaming because they're so sure that what's coming down the pipeline is going to shit the bed so bad that people are going to go back to retro gaming. So they're going to retune some favorites for a small amount because they know the gaming community is just going to say, you know what, fuck this, I'm going back and playing my favorite. So they're just going to do that, go into that vein.
The Starfield for Bethesda, the reason I stopped is because of so much shit you had to do just to play the fucking game. Mm-hmm. You gotta do this, you gotta spend your money on this, you gotta build your house, or if you don't do this. I just want to play a fucking game where I'm flying around the space and I'm doing small adventures without having to do shit. So I said, fuck this. This is more complicated than what I want to do. And, I mean, Fallout, I mean, it does the same sort of thing, not to that big of a degree, but Fallout to me does have its own faults where if you do this one path, like, and then suddenly you have all these settlements. And every once in a while we play and something comes up. Oh, you gotta go help your settlement. It's fuck them. I already saved you. Take care of yourself. But
that's Fallout 4 with the settlements. I can't. Yeah, I started playing that again after Fallout, the TV series, and I'd forgotten just how irritated those settlers are. I thought, just fuck off.
Yeah,
just like go and find your own water supply.
Yeah,
I'm busy.
Yeah,
but no. So I started playing Fallout 76 instead, and I actually ended up really enjoying that. Enjoying that. What was I going to say? Shit. So two things. Starfield, yes, it underperformed. I actually quite liked it, but it just took so long to level up your character and unlock new abilities that I kind of got fed up of playing it. I just thought, well, fuck this, because I'm not actually really feeling like I'm benefiting. It's not getting any better because I'm not unlocking anything.
Yeah.
So they needed to address that, and I've also been waiting for the expansion with the like little moon rover buggy type things and whatnot. But Star Wars Outlaws, which I don't think we spoke about last time. No, I picked that up recently.
Oh, okay.
That's actually pretty good.
Is it?
You listen to reviews, and everyone says, everyone says pretty much the same thing. In fact, I was listening to something about it earlier today, and someone was saying it's the best Star Wars property that has come out in quite a while, including the TV, including the movies. The caveat is that the opening to the game is really bad. It's really bad because it launches you straight into a stealth mission, which is really boring. And I think a lot of people just washing out, just thinking, "Oh, fuck this, it's rubbish." You should never have to say this about a game, but it gets better after the first few hours. If you've got to play a few hours of a game before it starts to get good, your game design is very, very poor. But if you persevere long enough, you get a speeder bike, you start unlocking attachments for your guns, you unlock a spaceship. That's kind of where I'm at. So I was in this spaceship, flew up into space, got into a fight with some bandits in space. Then I got attacked by some TIE fighters as I was getting the fuck out of Dodge after I'd completed the mission. And I thought, you know what? This is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I'm quite enjoying it. Floating around on some planets. I think I'm on Canto Bight at the moment. You've got the Pikes, you've got Crimson Dawn, and you've got the Hutts. The three like gangster factions that you can flip.
There's a fourth one. There's a new one.
Is there?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know about that yet.
Okay.
No, but I'm entertaining myself because every time I get a chance to fuck the Pikes over, I'll take it, and it just makes me chuckle. But that's what I quite like about the game. It's a design choice. I don't have to. I can fuck over the Hutts or I can fuck over Crimson Dawn. I just find it funny. Every chance I get, if I see the Pikes, like a little settlement or something, I'll go and raid it. I'll go and kill them all and steal everything they've got. If I'm doing a mission and it's like, well, you could either sell that to the Pikes or you can sell it to Crimson Dawn. Fuck the Pikes. I'm selling it to Crimson Dawn just because it's funny. So best thing about it, as with most Star Wars properties, sound effects are spot on. It sounds like Star Wars. You're going around spaceports, you're going around cantinas, you can hear Star Wars, the languages, the sound effects, the ambience. It's Star Wars. I like that, you know. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's you get past that first few hours, pretty good.
Okay. All right.
I love the fact that led a gaming conversation. My gaming level is Pong.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with Pong.
Yeah, but bringing that up, that reminds me of what you talk about, that the company is going to retro gaming.
Yeah.
The thing I like about that, retro gaming in a way was just very simple gaming. It was simple entertainment. It got you away from something for a while, where it seems to be that games nowadays are so complicated and so involved in thinking that you want to competitive, but you might want to make it so detailed that you think people love all the detail. Well, there's some of us that just I want to get away for a while. I want to play a game. I don't want to have to save money to pay off a farmer to look after my fucking house or something. You know, so I just want to go into the game and play. So other than that one thing I bitched about in Fallout, where you've got to fucking tell your settlement to fuck off, the game overall, just for me sitting down to play, is so much fun. So
oh yeah, if you just fuck off the settlers and just let them die,
yeah,
you know, just look after yourselves. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
the game itself is great.
Yeah,
you know,
you want us right? You want to say, listen, see that fucking thing I have to touch that allows me to build stuff? It's right there for you. You go fucking touch it and build your shit. But no.
Yeah, someone comes up to you and like, oh, we're getting hungry. There's fucking crops right there.
Yeah.
Literally right there. Pick up your own fucking watermelon. I'm going to go and shoot a super mutant.
I was watching I was reading a Twitter conversation about, now this is a first-person shooter game, and it was showing footage from the game where this guy was just killing anything that moved. And it was basically a conversation where someone was saying, I used to like these type of games where I would go on raids with my friends, but he said there's so many assholes, and I don't know anything about this world, but this is where this guy's describing it. There's so many assholes in these first-person shooter games, they're not making it fun. He said they're basically a bunch of fucking psychopaths. They just want to go in and kill anything they can, and it's taking the fun out of these games. Have you guys noticed that at all, where these people will go in and they're there basically, as he said, they're just, you know, if these people were in real life, they'd be just killing people for a living.
Well, Paul may know better than I, because I play games on my own. I don't play in a community because of that reason. So,
do you notice it at all, that there are a few people in the last couple of years that they don't make it as fun as it was before?
It's not even a few, it's a lot. It's like, that's just how people play games now. It's like they just go out of the way to just annoy other people. It's Call of Duty is the worst culprit, because I don't like playing Call of Duty competitively. But there's a couple of friends of mine, and one of them has a PC, one of them has an Xbox. Call of Duty is really easy. Whatever you've got, you can all play the same game. So it's like, fuck, right, looks like it's Call of Duty tonight then, because Louis is playing. Sorry, Louis. So we go on Call of Duty, and it's like, it's a race to see who can sort of cheat the most. You do get literal cheats who use software that gives them an advantage. But there's also just cheats. And it's like, as soon as the game starts, everyone races. They're not racing to sort of like start fighting each other in the middle. They're racing to get to the back end of the map so they can hide where the people spawn into the game, and then they'll just snipe you or they'll just take you out. And as soon as you load into the game, you get killed immediately, because these fucking wankers, rather than just sort of like playing the game as it was intended, you know, just sort of like running in and out of buildings and sort of running around corners, shooting people, jumping in jeeps, firing missiles, that sort of thing. They will literally just spend the whole game hiding right at the back of the map where they can't be seen, just watching, waiting for people to load into the game, and then they just shoot them and kill them. So you sort of like, you get killed, you go, fuck's sake, and you sort of like, you wait till your countdown timer runs out, and then you load back into the game, and it puts you back in the game, bam, you're dead again. Because these fucking arseholes just, and it's not just one, it's like at least half of the team sit at the back. Oh, here's another one, he's just loaded in, bam, now he's dead. You might as well not even bother, because you can't play the game, because you get killed as soon as you load in. Every time you die, you load back in, you get killed. You load back in, you get killed. Like, fuck this. So you quit out, and then you get penalised for quitting out. It's like, fuck this.
That's what the guy was talking about. He said it's just a bunch of psychopaths that like killing people, and it's the feeling of just executing someone when they come into it. I didn't know the layout. I'm glad actually it was interesting for you to be able to tell me how they were able to do it, because this person described it. He said there's more psychopaths playing these games than ever before because they don't want to go in there. They just want to kill people.
Yeah. So I always turn off the microphone. I always turn off the voice chats because they are fucking sociopaths. The things that people say to each other in these online games is just horrendous. You know, racism, sexism, everythingism, homophobics. It's like anything goes, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking on.
Video games are bad. You heard it here first.
Video games are great. People who play them are sociopaths.
Oh yeah.
Stephen Amal, did you see clips from the interview that he did with a podcaster named Chris Van Lay when he was talking about how he was treated in Peacemaker? He was not happy, and it's funny. I love the Stephen Amal because he's done with the DC Universe. He's done with the CW, and he's speaking a lot more honestly about how he felt they were treated there. And he was basically, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
When people think of the DC Universe, they think of CW before they think of Justice League and the movies. And he's right. He's right. He's absolutely right. And I'd never heard him say it out loud before, but after they tried to basically destroy his career because of what happened with the during the strike, he's like, you know what? I don't give a shit anymore. And it was it was a very enlightening interview with that section of it anyway, but how he felt about how his show was treated while it was on CW.
Oh, 100%. It absolutely deserved more respect than they got. You know, the direction that show went, the way that it all ended, it's like, you know, Jesus Christ. You know, they were keeping DC afloat at one point. There were so many of those shows, and they were so good. And DC just didn't give a shit. They just didn't treat them with the reverence or with the respect that they deserved. And it turned into a bit of a clown show, unfortunately. But you know, first couple of seasons, as we've said many times, at least the first few seasons of Arrow, great TV, really well done. Stephen Amell, he made that show. He carried that franchise for the first few years of its life, and everything that came after was standing on his shoulders. And it's, you know, it's always been such a shame that they didn't branch out into movies. It would have been so, I think personally, so successful. I think at the height of its popularity, bang them all in a movie. And let's, you know, throw some money at it, put them all into a movie, send it out to the theatre.
I can say right now that they would have done better than the actual movies that they produced. In hindsight now, like 5 years out, or what Justice League came out in 2017, 7 years out, I can say absolutely right now, if they had have done movies with Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin, they would have done better than the actual movies they produced.
At the point they were getting millions of viewers per week.
All 5 million, 6 million,
they would have all gone out to see the movie at least twice. You know, money on the table. That's and here we are.
I have one more.
Okay.
It's Jarrett Harris is Richard Harris.
Not Jarrett Wang? Not the Wang?
The Wang. Jarrett Harris is Richard Harris' son. Of course, Richard Harris played Dumbledore in the original Harry Potter. And he was asked about perhaps taking up the mantle of his dad, and he's like, it was very refreshing. It's a great interview, by the way. It's on inews.co.uk. And he's very honest. He said, "Why would I do that?" It's like, it's a great movie, and he was very much, "Why would I do this? Why are they redoing it?" He's asking the question, but a lot of people are asking. It's not even 20 years old. Why are they revisiting this? And I talked to Susan about this one. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. She said, "I'm going to watch the first episode, and if they don't even come close to doing it justice, I'm just not watching the rest of it." And that's going to be one of two things: either great or a complete train wreck. But he said, "No, I have no interest in doing that." And he also commented on, because he was in Morbius, and his quote was, they asked him how he felt about doing it, and quote, "I did a Marvel film because I have a mortgage to pay." Ouch.
Yeah.
And right now, a lot of the cast that are doing Marvel films, that is the same fucking reason they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's money. It's big, fat paychecks.
Yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah.
Almost like the Michael Caine acting school.
Yeah.
I did some for the money. I needed the money. Yeah.
That was Jaws the Revenge, wasn't it? He
Yeah.
did that because he wanted to buy his mother a bungalow, I think, something like that.
did I tell you the Philippine story about Michael Caine that the video watched a little while ago? This was when he was shooting a movie in the Philippines. It was at a party. Did I tell you that story?
I don't know.
He was in the Philippines, and this was, I believe, in the 1980s. He was in the Philippines, and he was invited to a house party after shooting, and there was a female host, and people were going around. He was greeting people, and she was giving him the stink eye, and he couldn't figure out why. And this went on for a couple of hours, and she motioned him over, and she said, "Are you a drug dealer?" He's like, "Madam, I don't know what you're talking about." "No, I'm an actor." She said, "Oh, then why are people calling you my cocaine?" And I was like, that can't be real. But I mean, I believe it, because with that accent, my cocaine. But he said, and he had to explain to her, "That's my name, Michael Caine." It's like, oh, but yeah, I guess he almost got kicked out of a party because of his pronunciation of his name back in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
If everyone thought that he was a drug dealer, he was not getting kicked out of any parties.
No, he would have.
That's bullshit.
She wouldn't have been able to get home. I mean, you look at what's going on. This bit of more salacious, but the stuff that's going on with P Daddy. If that snowball starts rolling down the hill the way it looks like it starts rolling down the hill, holy shit! There's a lot of people that have Usher, Pink, that have scrubbed their ex. They've gotten rid of, because Pink had like 7,000 posts, and she just got rid of all of them. If he had the stuff that Epstein had, by the way, I'll say right now, P Diddy didn't kill himself. He didn't.